Welcome. My name is Lynn Jackson, and I'm a volunteer at the Capital District Coalition Against Islamophobia. Thank you for coming today. We are here to listen about the Albany County Legislature's proclamation opposing India's Citizenship Amendment Act. Like India's Constitution, we Americans fundamentally agree in the freedom of religion. The first phrase of the First Amendment of our Constitution addresses freedom of religion first. Why? Because without freedom of our thoughts, we cannot have freedom of speech. Today we will hear from the sponsor of the proclamation, the chair of the Albany County Legislature, and members of community groups. We will be happy to take questions afterwards. I would like to introduce the Honorable Sam Fine, who I am proud to say is my representative in the Albany County Legislature from the 6th District. Sam Fine introduced the proclamation. Thank you so much. Sam.
Thank you. I'm going to try to raise this a little bit.
So you're allowed.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Lynn, and I want to thank all the legislators here, Chairman Andrew Joyce, Merton Simpson, former legislator Doug Bullock, who's also here in another capacity, and all of the legislators who signed on to this. We got a majority, 20 legislators out of 39 to sign on.
All right.
Also just want to thank some of the groups that really helped out with this proclamation, the Capital District Coalition Against Islamophobia, the Muslim Solidarity Committee, and Project Salam. We really appreciate everyone supporting this important proclamation. So we're here today to speak up about an injustice. This is an attack on religious freedom. The Indian government is attempting to take away the citizenship of millions of Muslims and threatening to put them in detention camps. I'm proud to sponsor this important proclamation that urges the Indian government to repeal this amendment. While for many this may seem far removed from the issues that we're facing here in Albany County and in New York State, the targeting of groups viewed as others by an authoritarian leader is not so different than what we're seeing here in America. And while India is on the other side of the world, it shares a lot in common with us. India is the largest democracy in the world, and it also has a constitution with protections based on our Bill of Rights, including protections for religious freedom. Article 25 of the Indian Constitution states, all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right to freely profess, practice, and propagate religion subject to public order, morality, and health. When I first heard about what's going on in India, I immediately thought about my grandparents who were Holocaust survivors, who fled Poland due to religious persecutions by the Nazis. They were lucky to survive, but unfortunately, many of their family members were not. And I grew up with this memory of the Holocaust and the 6 million Jews who were murdered ingrained into my identity and who I was, and that with the understanding that what can happen when a religious or ethnic group is targeted, treated as an other, and when people either go along or stay silent. And so for this reason, America's protections of religious freedom are especially important to me. We must learn from the lessons of the Holocaust. We often say, never again. We must learn from the lessons of our own country's history, a history that includes oppression of many groups, of Native Americans, of African Americans, oppression of and targeting people for deportation and exclusion because they were viewed as different, whether it was their religion, their nationality, or the color of their skin. Unfortunately, we don't have to look too far back into our history to see this happen, as we have a president who recently instituted a Muslim ban. We must learn from this, and we must commit to fighting bigotry and persecution here and everywhere. The Albany County Legislature stands firmly with the Muslim people of India, Muslim Americans, and people of all faiths, backgrounds, and nationalities against religious persecution of Muslims in India. The Albany County Legislature is calling on the Indian government to repeal the discriminatory Citizenship Amendment Act and protect religious freedoms that are the foundations of both the United States and India.
Thank you so so much. Well, our next speaker is Andrew Joyce, the chair of the county legislature. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you all for being here today. What we're doing here today, what Sam is doing, I'm joined here with Mert Simpson and our former legislator, Doug Bullock. What we're doing is an extension of a measure that we instituted in 2016, which was at a time in this country when we were caught up in Islamophobia. Our federal government was instituting a travel ban. There's a lot of terrible things going on in this country. And the man standing behind me, Doug Bullock, we instituted a proclamation calling out an end to Islamophobia and to stand tall in solidarity with so many Muslims in our community here in Albany County and the capital region as a whole. So what Sam is attempting to do here is an extension on that. And Albany County is a caring community. And in my life and in my career, I've had one of my finest and one of my most fondest memories was spending time in Southwest Asia and being in Southwest Asia at the end of Ramadan. And it was one of the most wonderful feasts I've ever experienced, one of the most wonderful times I've ever experienced, given the weight of everything that was going on around me. And whether you're Catholic, whether you're Muslim, whether you're a Jew, it doesn't matter what your creed is or what your background is, what experience taught me is that when you sit down across from somebody, when you break bread with somebody, when you look into someone's eyes as a friend and as a fellow human being, you truly feel that we're all interconnected, we're all one people. And some folks have asked me, is this Albany County issue, and what does this mean for Albany County? And this is a human issue. And I'm very proud of Sam for calling attention to this important measure. Again, it's an extension of what we've always done in the Albany County Legislature, and that's stand in solidarity with everyone. Albany County is a home for everyone, and thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. Dr. Sheikh Ubaid will speak next.
Assalamu alaikum and peace. I start my remarks by praying for the president, and I hope that he has learned his lesson and will now be more responsible and teach his followers that listening to the doctors and wearing a mask are very important. You know, it's an honor to be standing with all of you. I got lost, so I had to rush, so that's why I'm a little short of breath, not because of COVID, so you don't have to be afraid. You know, today is the day of Gandhi Jayanti. The man who gave the world a lesson of non-violence, Gandhi. And it is very appropriate that we are gathered here today on that day. But if you have seen the Twitter this morning, the Twitter top trend in India was "Long live Godse," and Godse was the man who assassinated Gandhi. The killers of Gandhi are ruling India. They have targeted 200 million Muslims, 30 million Christians and other minorities for genocide. And disenfranchisement is the first step towards genocide. And what you are doing today, giving out a clear message to India and to the world that you will not let this happen. And I'm very proud that Albany is the first county in the United States to have passed such a resolution. There have been several cities, but this is the first county. So I thank you, and it is a matter of honor that I'm part of this. This travesty of justice is not a distant matter. More than 500,000 followers of Hindutva supremacism live in the United States, and they are well educated, rich, upwardly mobile. They have infiltrated both the Democratic and the Republican Party. They are running in this election, and there is already a member of Congress, Radha Krishnamurthy, in Chicago. So you, being the leaders of a great state and a great county, taking up this issue and showing the way to the whole country is a very important thing, and I thank you. And again, please keep leading, keep showing the way. Do not wait till the genocide happens, because then it is very difficult to stop it, prevent it from happening. And that is why we all have an alliance called Alliance to Stop and Protect America from Infiltration by Religious Extremists, ASPIRE. Our website will be coming on next week, and you will know everything about this movement which is flourishing in the United States. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ubaid. Our next speaker is Sister Honora.
Good afternoon. I'm Sister Honora Kinney. I'm a member of the Sisters of St. Joseph, and I also belong to the Capital District Coalition Against Anti-Islamophobia. And I commend the county legislature for passing the resolution. The Constitutional Amendment Act is a clear attack on religious liberty. The Catholic Church is somewhat late into the true realization of religious liberty, but in 1965, coming out of the Vatican Council, the Church defined its position. It said, religious freedom is a human right which flows out of the God-given dignity of the human person, a person created in love and called to live in communion with the truth. The right of religious freedom is grounded in the obligation to seek the truth about God and carries with it the right to immunity from coercion. The government of India is violating the basic human rights of Muslims to seek the truth about God. Again, the Catholic Church is a little bit late about being Muslim friendly too, but another Vatican II document, after speaking of Catholicism's debt to the Jewish religion, declares that the plan of salvation also includes those who acknowledge the Creator. In the first place among these are the Muslims, who, professing to hold the faith of Abraham along with us, adore the one and merciful God, who on the last day will judge mankind. Second document points out that Muslims revere Jesus as a prophet, value the moral life, and worship God through prayer, devotion, and fasting. Pope Francis, since taking office, has reached out to Muslims, has traveled to Muslim countries, and has even very recently called on Christians and Muslims to pray together for the end of the pandemic, saying, we are all united as human beings. Unfortunately, France's willingness to speak up against the oppression of Muslims has been limited. This morning's Time Union carries an account of Secretary Pompeo's failure to get the Vatican to speak up sharply against religious persecution in China, including China's genocidal attack on the Muslim Uyghur. The piece speculates that Francis is concerned about a potential agreement with the Chinese regarding the appointment of Catholic bishops, which agreement was signed in 2018, but it's due to be renewed. While Francis hasn't spoken out against the Citizen Amendment Act, major Catholic leaders in India have criticized it and the anti-Muslim violence which has accompanied it. The Cardinal of Mumbai issued a statement declaring that citizenship should never be based on a person's religion. He called the CAA deeply divisive, discriminating, and a violation of human rights. The president of the Jesuit Conference of South Asia noted that Jesus was born with questionable identities of citizenship, place of origin, and even parenthood. One of the Catholic priests said the Indian government aims to ostracize and alienate Muslims in an attempt to move toward the establishment of a Hindu nation state. And this priest warned that they will go after the Christians next. And our first speaker eloquently reiterated the lesson of the 20th century that you can't afford to let anybody be turned into a thing. Once you do that, then any treatment can be meted out to them. And if you don't stand up when it first starts because they're not your group, by the time you get around to it, by the time they get around to coming for your group, there'll be nobody else left. So I congratulate Albany County for doing this, and I hope we all kind of take to heart these lessons.